So I wanted to start the day because yoga is not only about moving, but we use our breath a lot. And I wanted to, for today, start with a little breathing exercise. If you've done yoga before, you might be familiar with it. It's called Nadi Shodhana. And it's basically something, it's because I'm always, what we're doing in the class, we're moving and teaching you different poses, but I'm also giving you tools that can be helpful for different things. For example, this breathing exercise, we can use it to help us relax. And yeah, maybe a little bit about breath before coming into it, but we have a lot of, we can control a lot of things with our breath and what's happening in our body. And just by using the breath in a certain way, we can either bring the energy up or put it down or kind of get into a more relaxed state. And one of the things we can do is to focus on our breath down into the belly, which we've been practicing here before. Kind of using the full capacity of our lungs, because we tend to a lot just during the day kind of breathe up to the chest, and these are these shallow breaths that are not really deep. We're not using this diaphragm, the breathing muscle that we have, and when we stay here with these short breaths, we're kind of tapped into what is called the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight and flight mode, like we're ready for any kind of action but we want to get more into the parasympathetic system, which is the rest and digest. And in that state, that's where we're really giving ourselves time to digest and stay calm, and all our systems are working properly because we're in a relaxed state. So this Nadi Shodhana is just one of those breathing techniques that we can use to kind of tap more into this parasympathetic nervous system. Another thing I wanted to focus a little bit on today is another thing I wanted to focus on is I wanted to go into a few poses where we're kind of doing this internal rotation with the knees together and kind of the heels out. Because when we start getting tight around the hips, you start feeling it when the belly is growing, and you start having like a little bit more difficulty walking, and you get this stiffness in the hips. So these are stretches that are kind of something that we're not doing in our daily life, that can kind of go against this tightness and kind of removing the muscles a little bit, stretching in a different way than usually. So I'm going to try to integrate that into the practice today. Other than that, we'll just go through our regular flow, and we're getting into our first vinyasa. We have two vinyasas in our flows. And I'll also come back to the assessing poses, the dolphin method that we started. Okay, so the first pose. For some knees, this pose is not good, so you have to listen to your body. We're going to come into Viryasana. And we can sit on top of the blocks. And this is one of those poses we're going to start doing this internal rotation. So I'm just putting 2 blocks here on the mat. I'm going to sit on top of them. And of course, if this doesn't work for you, just come into your cross-legged normal position. But here we're going to start bringing the knees a little bit together. We can even kind of just move with our palms here, move the thighs a little bit closer. So you might get a little bit, start feeling it a little bit in the hips. That's And if, as I say, if it gets too much, just move into any other pose. But I want to start here with a breathing exercise. So we're working both on a little bit stretching the hips and coming into this calm breathing. What we can do, let's just actually all of us bring our right palm up. Going to use the middle finger and the index finger. We're going to place them here on the third eye. So we're going to be using the thumb and the other two fingers kind of close one nostril at a time. So you're actually like holding the nostril here, one finger, and then we can change, hold the other nostril. And I'll guide you through it. Maybe one more thing, that in a lot of these calming breathing exercises, we're trying to get the exhales to be a little bit longer. Because what are we doing then? When we're inhaling, the heart rate actually comes up a little bit. We don't really notice it much because it's very tiny change. But when we inhale, heart rate goes up a little bit. And when we exhale, it slows down. And if we manage to keep the exhales a little bit longer than inhales, we kind of manage to take the heart rate and slow it down a little bit and bring in this calmness into our system. Okay, so we're going to bring the middle finger and the index finger on the third eye. And of course, we don't want to force anything in our breathing exercises, and we have to be careful not to do any intense breathing exercises or hold anything for too long when we're pregnant. So we're going to keep it flowy. And if the rhythm doesn't fit to you, just kind of come into your own rhythm to think about breathing or keeping the exhales a little bit longer. Okay, so let's take an inhale together. We're breathing in and out through the nose, of course. So inhaling together, we're going to close the right nostril with the thumb and exhale through the left nostril. And let's inhale through the left. And we close the left nostril and exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale left. Close the left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close the left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close the left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, exhale left. Continue for a few more rounds on your own. Just trying to make the exhales a little bit longer than the inhales. Using the nostrils, no exhales. Taking one more round. Extend the exhale to the left. You're going to bring the right palm down. Just finishing this round. Now both palms to come down, keeping the eyes closed if it feels okay. Maybe just check in with your breath now. Check in and notice how you're feeling. See if it had an effect. Manage to slow down the breath a little bit. Bring a little calmness in. Maybe focusing the breath into the belly, into this rib cage. Using the full capacity of the lungs. And I'm going to invite you to place one palm on the belly, on the baby, the other one on the chest or the heart space. A few more breaths here. Breathing with the baby. And this might also be a good time just to acknowledge that you're here on your mat, that you managed to come here onto your mat today. There's not every day, some days it's not very easy, I was going to say. Sometimes it's hard to bring oneself to the mat. It's good to just acknowledge that you are right here on the mat. And you're ready to move together with your baby. Beautiful. And let's tap a little bit into our rocking, just to keep that in our practice as well, so we can move into our cross legs. And see if you need to move one block, or how you feel. Just tapping into our rocking here, inhaling, coming forward. And exhaling, rounding back. Maybe you can catch your knees to help you with the movement. We're moving from the hips. Keeping the back straight as we come forward. And allowing us to round as we go back. Okay, and let's come back to the middle. Let's make a few circles here. Here, if it feels awkward, maybe removing the block and all the way down to the mat. Just taking a couple of hip circles here. Starting to loosen up a little bit. And tension directions, you go the other way. Go back to the middle. Okay, let's start with our warm-up. So let's bring the chin down to the chest on our exhale. On our inhale, coming up the chin, maybe dropping the head back. Exhale, coming down. Inhale, moving up. A couple of more. Moving with the breath, starting to make this connection with the breath and the movement. Come back to the middle, bring the left ear down to the left shoulder. And next exhale, bring the chin down, move it to the other side, right ear, right shoulder. Let's see if you want to either go back and forth or come into full circles. Just keeping the breath, the movement connected, and this is also a beautiful way just to start tapping into our body, feeling, noticing how we're doing. Next time the chin is down, changing directions. See what we find when we go the other way. Does it feel the same or something stiff on this side? And coming back up. Just roll our shoulders on the inhale, really. Shoulders up. On the exhale, rolling the back and down. On the inhale, shoulders coming up. On the exhale, back. 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last one. Exhale down. Beautiful. And let's bring our left palm to the floor. You can inhale right arm up, lengthen up. Remember, we're thinking about creating space. So maybe dropping a little bit to the side, but it's more about creating space in the body, feeling this lengthening and stretching on the right side. Even think about lifting the chest a little bit up to the sky. And coming back. Same on your left arm up. Lengthen up. Maybe dropping a little bit. Same here. Letting a stretch on the left side. Feeling this opening. You're creating space. Feeling into the space. And let's go back. And let's inhale both arms up. Going to come into our twist. So left palm to the left knee, right palm behind us. Inhale, lengthen upwards. Exhale, looking towards our right side here. Okay. Coming back, inhaling both arms up. Changing sides, right palm, right knee, left palm behind us. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale. Slowly. Okay, let's bring both palms behind us, just coming into a little chest opening. And also use the, so we have our bolster behind us, if that feels good. Just finding space in the chest, this opening of the chest. Maybe dropping the head back. That's really beautiful. Okay, let's just take a moment to come into our ujjayi breathing. We're continuing. So we place our palms here on the rib cage. And we remember we start making this little contraction in the back of the neck. Making an ocean sound, but kind of on the inhale, kind of pressing against our palms here. On our exhale, rib cage coming back. Inhale into the palms. Exhale, feel how everything. Exhale, hugging the baby. Beautiful. We're going to move to our foreleg pose. We're going to come. Well, let's start with our cats and cows. Smoothing the spine a little bit and continue moving with the breath. Palms are under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And we start on the inhale, looking forward. On the exhale, we start rounding up. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, rounding. A few more with your own breath. And maybe here also tapping a little bit into your hips, noticing how the pelvis moves as we move between these poses, how you're tucking the pelvis in as you round, and it's moving a little bit back as we come up. Or inhale, exhale, tucking it a little bit under, lifting up, and it comes out. Okay, let's come into the middle. We're going to stretch the right leg back, torso down, finding our calf stretch. And we can stay here for a few more breaths, or if we want, on our next exhale, hugging everything in, lifting the leg up. And if you want to go further, lifting up the opposite arm. Just look straight down, helps us with the balance. Spine is straight. And coming back down. Let's take 2 cats and cows here in between. In and look forward. Exhale, round. One more. Exhale, rounding. Then finding our neutral pose, we bring the left leg back. Stretching the left calf muscle. Okay. And on our exhale, hugging everything in if we're gonna lift up the leg, lifting the leg up, trying to keep it straight. And maybe the opposite arm follows. Just looking straight down onto your mat. Remember to breathe. And returning everything. Okay, beautiful. Here, let's actually bring our knees together and our feet apart. So we're bringing our knees together, feet apart, but staying forelegged. Okay, here we're just gonna move a little bit, moving circles, or just come one side and the other. Just feeling a little bit into this. And you probably, if your hips are stiff, then you probably feel this quite a bit. Okay. And also a good reminder here that when we're bringing the knees in and the calves out, or the heels out, we're opening the lowest part of the pelvis. So the pelvis is in, we talk about 3 different parts. The uppermost part, the middle part, and the lowest part. So when the baby is coming out, like fully coming out, this is where we want to be opening, the bottom of the pelvis. Okay, now just removing or coming back from the pose. And let's sit down for a second, see if we need a sip of water, and we're going to start preparing for our soft form A and B. Okay, so we're going to find our block, or blocks if you're using 2. And remember, we have the index finger more or less by the corner. Spreading the fingers, palms under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And also remember, if you need extra support, you can always put a blanket, a roll of blanket, towels or something under to lift up the wrists. Okay, let's bring both palms on top of the block. I'm coming into our Ujjayi breathing here. Gonna line the knee with the palm, the right knee with the right palm. And on our exhale, hug everything in as we step the left leg forward. And coming up. Inhale, and do a straight line in the body, and exhaling, coming forward. Starting to feel a little stretch here around the hip area. Psoas muscle in the front thigh. Okay. Inhale, come back. Exhale, palms coming back to the block, stepping the left leg back. Let's find our child's pose. Just starting slowly, as always, knees coming apart, making space with the belly, coming down to our child's pose, or down onto the mat or onto a block. We always have child's pose if we need rest, if we need to come into a resting pose during the practice. And let's move back up. Coming up, we're going to find our down dog. Tucking the toe center and lifting. And also a reminder that this pose is optional. So if you don't want to come up to down dog for some reason today, you can stay in four-legged or bring forearms down. Okay, so let's come down, both knees coming down at the same time. If we're in down dog, find our block again. Left knee lined with the left palm, and on our exhale, hug everything in. Step the right leg forward. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come forward. Okay. And here, so staying curious, checking in with this side. How does this side feel? Inhale, come back. Exhale, finding our block again, stepping the right leg back. Okay, let's come back into our child's pose here. Knees apart, forehead down. 2 breaths into the back of the ribs. And if we're coming into down dog, let's come in, tucking the toes, lifting up, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths. 3 deep breaths. Bend the knees as much as you need. On the third exhale, both knees coming down at the same time. Exactly, beautiful. Okay, let's find our, coming into our next round, soft form B. So right knee lined with the right palm. On our exhale, stepping again, the left foot forward. And we're going to come up. Inhale, go up. Exhale, come forward. We have the twist. So forearm on the thigh. Inhale, the right arm up, keeping the hips as they are, but twisting the upper back. Okay. And inhale, come back. Exhale, finding our block. Stepping the left leg back. Finding our child's pose. 2 breaths. Moving up into our down dog. And for this down dog, maybe moving or bending one knee at a time. Pressing into the heel of one leg. Changing, but keeping the hips more or less square. And then both knees coming down. Exactly. Both palms onto the block, line the left knee with the left palm. On the exhale, stepping the right leg forward. And we come up. Inhale up. Exhale forward. Forearm on the thigh, left arm coming up, hips stay squared, twisting in the upper back. A nice opening here in the chest. It's open. Okay, coming back, inhale, come up. Exhale, down onto the block, right leg coming back. And one more time, finding our child's pose. Okay. And here, maybe rolling up to seated. And see if we need a sip of water, taking a couple of breaths, and then we're going to move into our vinyasa one. For our vinyasa one, we're going to use 2 blocks, or if you're home using your books, whatever you have handy. We can have one of them just ready as it is, and the other one just close by. So we can grab it later. And let's just come back into our foreleg. Just gonna find our block again to help us come up. So we're coming up to our block, and again lining the right knee with the right palm on the exhale, hugging everything in, stepping the left leg forward. And here we're gonna lift up our back knee. So lifting up the back knee. And we can even come with the back heel down, yes, exactly. Back heel is down, and then coming up, finding our warrior one. Okay, our front knee is more or less above the ankle, so it's a 90-degree corner, more or less. Here we can place our hands on the hips if we need to adjust, just making sure the back heel is down, and our knee is more or less above the ankle. Just find a strong posture, strong warrior. So we're lengthening upwards, feeling our strong legs. Keeping the chest open, breathing up to the chest here, opening the space. And then we're going to place the fingers behind us. Open our chest here even more. Okay. And if we want, we can move a little bit forward. So we're finding the straight line from the back heel all the way up. Keeping the gaze straight forward. And here, ribs are quite exposed, so you can really take advantage of the full breathing into the lungs. Feeling the breath here in the sides of the ribcage. Strong lungs. And let's come back up. On the exhale, finding our block. And we're going to lift up the back heel. And remember, you can adjust the block if you need to here. Okay, we're lifting up the back heel and then coming up again. Just making sure we are balanced. Maybe we need to shorten the stance. Exactly. Okay, and maybe bending now the back heel. We have our palms on the hips, just bending the back heel, back knee, sorry. Okay, and then on the next exhale, hugging everything in as we straighten out the back heel, back knee, keeping the heel up. Okay, inhale, come up. And our front knee is still bent, 90 degrees. On the next exhale, we're going to bend the back knee, move the cactus arms, and inhale up. So, exhale down. Inhale up. A few more with your breath. Now move a little bit here so you can see me better. Exhale, coming down. Inhale up, strong legs. One more. Beautiful. Okay. And we're going to find our way down here. So again, finding our block. The knee can come down. And this time we're going to grab both blocks. The blocks are on either side of the leg. I'm going to come into a little flow here. So on the next exhale, we're going to press into the heel. So straighten out the front leg, hips coming back. And on the inhale, bend the leg, come forward. Yes, exhale, coming back. Remember not to go 110% here, not just sinking in, but we're being mindful as we move here between poses. Exhaling, straighten out. Kind of trying to keep the spine straight here. So make sure the blocks are in the right place for you. Inhale, come forward. And exhale back. Exactly. Just a few more. Very good pose to lengthen and balance out the ligaments around the hips. And the last one. So let's stay here for a few breaths with the hips back. Keeping the spine straight. If we're not feeling anything, maybe moving the belly a little bit lower here. And release, coming forward. Let's stay here also, a couple of breaths. Just feeling into it. Making sure not just sinking down, but we're keeping strong legs. Finding this lengthening at the same time. Okay, beautiful. And now we're going to bring the block again in front of us. The other one can come to the side. And we're going to step the left leg back. Okay, let's take our Chaturanga here. We learned in our second class, if I remember it. Okay, we're going to take the one where we inhale back, go through and come up into our down dog. So when we're ready, inhale, come back. On the exhale, bending the elbows, rounding forward, moving up in a circle, coming into down dog. Exactly. Deep breaths. And on the next exhale, both knees coming down. And we come to the other side. Okay, let's bring the palms on top of the block again. I'm gonna move around. See? Okay, so now landing the left knee, the left palm on the exhale, step in the right palm forward. I'm gonna lift up the back knee and bring the heel down. Coming into a warrior one. And moving up. Okay. And now you know what to do in one side, you know how you're feeling. And remember, we have options here. So if it felt okay, you were doing before, we continue here. Otherwise, bring the knee down and we can move and process from there. If the other side was difficult. So in warrior one, again, just making sure the stand feels good. The knees above the ankle here. Strong legs. Really feeling into all the sides of the soles of the feet. Lengthening upwards. Okay, we're going to interlace the fingers behind us. And going into our humble warrior. Maybe coming a little bit forward with the gaze, staying forward. Deep breaths here into the ribcage. strengthening our hips, legs, feeling our strength. And coming back up. And find that block. Just lift up the back heel. And we come up again. So we have balance. Bring the palms up the hips. Move back and push. And so inhale up. On exhale, up the back knee. Inhale. Exhale and down. Inhale. So 2 more. And remember, you can do this from the knees. And coming down. Beautiful. Back knee down. Bend both our blocks. And when you're ready, on the next steps of hips coming back, keeping the spine straight, remember. And on the inhale, coming forward. Maybe you can move the blocks a little bit more. Try to find a place where you can just move easily between the poses. And forward. Exhale. With your own breath. Just a few more here. And next time we're back, let's stay there for a few breaths. Spine straight, maybe thinking about moving a little bit closer down with the belly. Not overstretching anything, just coming to our minimum edge here. And very important to always do both sides when we're doing stretches like this. Because we're working on balancing, so we need to stretch both sides equally. And let's, on our next inhale, come forward. Same here, stay for a couple of breaths. Be mindful of our stretches here, stretching. And then we're gonna release. Let's bring our block back down. And we're actually gonna come up to standing here. So let's keep our right foot here next to the block. We're gonna lift up the back heel. And then stacking forward. Here, we're gonna inhale from the spine. On the exhale, just allow us to drop into forward fold. Be sure there's enough space for the belly and left and the knees as much as we need. And then coming up. Sometimes when we come up, we get a little bit dizzy, so just do it slowly, coming back to the thighs. And then the arms to the sides, be straight. And then next. Beautiful. Okay. How are you doing? Good. Okay, we're gonna sit down for a little bit. Let me see it. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna finish talking about the dolphin method. So get comfy. Maybe keep working in Viryasana, where you have the rotation of the the knees together and the heels out, if that felt good. Or come into any other comfortable pose. Okay. So last time we started talking about the assessing poses. And we already went through, we talked about creating space in the body. We talked about the abdominal muscles and the making sure we're not doing anything to increase the diastasis recti, the separation of the muscles. So no deep back bends or things like that. We also talked about the relaxin, that the hormone that's in our increased or more hormones, more relaxin in the body, sorry, during the pregnancy. We lose your joints and those things. The next point is belly compression. And yeah, so belly compression. These are both concerning not pressing the belly itself. Of course, we do sometimes post this, for example, at the end of the class, last time we were pressing a little bit against the side of the belly, something like that, which is fine, as long as we're not doing any deep compressions here. And that's, for example, why we kind of stop doing poses where we're lying on the belly, or anything that's kind of making this compression on the belly. But the belly can also, it's not only about not pressing the belly, but the belly can also compress other things, other parts of our body. And the belly becomes, when it becomes heavy, we want to be careful with that. One of the things is the compression, for example, if we go into headstands or something like that, where we're turning upside down and all the pressure and the heaviness of the belly is pressing onto our lungs, onto everything that's in the way. So careful with anything like that. Another thing is also with compressing our vena cava. The vena cava is a large vein that runs from the legs to the heart, and it's here on the right side along the spine. And you might have heard, like, it's better to sleep on your side when you're sleeping. It's actually, a lot of people talk about sleeping on the left side because it's running on the right side. But what I've learned is that it doesn't really matter which side, because there's not that much pressure if you fall on the right side, because the belly is of course in front of you, not on the vena cava. And that's why we're also not doing a lot of poses on the back. And if we're doing poses on the back, for example, we've been doing a little bit of happy baby, we're always moving when we're on our back. Or it's okay to stay on the back for a little bit, but not more than, let's say, 5 seconds or something. And why is this important, the vena cava? It's because this is also, it's providing also blood to the baby, and we might be restricting blood flows and things like that. Yes. So that's about the belly compression. Next point is stability. And we've talked quite a bit. I was just mentioning it with our lunges earlier. To always make sure to do both sides when we're doing things. But it's also interesting that so a lot of the pains we start having during pregnancy are due to some kind of imbalance in the pelvis. And sometimes this is because we have habits that we're always using one of our sides. during the day and we don't even realize it. A very common thing is how we enter the car. So we're always like kind of doing this twist when we're entering the car. If we're used to always being in the driver's seat, for example, we're always on the safe side. So one of the things we can do is kind of be mindful of bringing both legs in at the same time. Things like this, keeping in mind that we might be doing something that's affecting this imbalance. Also, there's things like sitting like this. If you always have the same leg up and you're not changing around, you might be creating some kind of imbalance. Maybe, yeah, let's talk about that later. Also concerning stability, yeah, just being aware of when we're in poses, like I try to always remind you about keeping the hips stable. So for example, when we're in one earlier, to make sure we're not, especially when the belly becomes more heavy, then we might kind of start being adjusting, but we're kind of not keeping the belly stable. So trying to always feel and making sure the pelvis is in balance when we're in poses. So whether it's here or the heel down, just making sure it's square and a little. So you can move around, feel it a little bit. You know it's in the right place. Okay. Also maybe in our twists. So we do the twists here. We say put one arm onto the knee and we twist. If also a good thing here to think about keeping the pelvis stable. So we're not like here, for example, where we're kind of more leaning on one hip. And if this is difficult, that's why we can use our blocks to lift up. Just trying to feel both sit bones turning down, feeling them on the mat before we come into our twists. Okay. The last point is about individual assessment. And this has just a lot to do with each and everyone taking into consideration, for example, if they were moving before the pregnancy, if they had any difficulties during other pregnancies, past injuries, things like this, to be concerned about it. And of course, yoga, we're always working with this, connecting the breath and the movement, and this is all practice and just being more aware of our bodies and knowing what's happening in the bodies. So this has to be very, that's one of the, I would say, main things in yoga, is having this awareness and being considerate of where we are, what we need to be careful. But of course, if you have anything like this, past injuries, something that you have to be more careful about, to also let me know if you need some help with it. Okay, I think that's kind of all we need to talk about concerning this. Any questions from anyone about this? Any of the, or any other precautions or something you've heard about? Yeah, shoot it. Okay, so she's asking about sleeping on either side. Yeah, so she wants me to repeat about sleeping on either side. So a lot of people only to sleep on the left side. That's a very common thing to hear, to only sleep on the left side. What I've learned from my studies both in the doula studies I did and the prenatal yoga, is that it doesn't, sleeping on the right side is not that much of a difference from sleeping on the left side. And you can kind of, I mean, if you're sleeping, if you just lie down on your right side, you notice that there's not so much pressure on the back and then the calf and the shoulders. So that doesn't really change that much. And I would not say it's dangerous to sleep on the right side if you're used to that. So nothing to worry about there. It's more about not sleeping on the back when the belly is big enough. So around the second, third trimester, definitely not be sleeping on the back unless you have it lifted up as we do in our asana. So you can, that's fine. If we have, we're in 45 degrees. And I think, didn't we in one of the classes, I don't remember if you were there, Sigrid, but we'll definitely repeat it again. I'll go through the good sleeping postures, how we can adjust a little bit with pillows and things like that to feel better. Because okay, we'll go through that at some point during the course. Okay, anything else? No? Okay, so I'll just continue, but of course, if something comes up in mind, just feel free at any point to stop me or send me a message after. Okay, I think let's come into standing. Come up to standing. Now what do we have? 15 minutes, okay. Let's just do I wanted to do one more pose where we have the knees in and the heels out. And you kind of need blocks for this. Or if you're at home, you can also kind of just support yourself if you have a sofa or sofa table or something in front of you. Okay. So we're gonna bring the legs apart. And we're going to think about bringing the toes a little bit inwards. So we have this weird internal rotation. And we can just bend our knees a little bit and walk our blocks forward. Or as I say, if you have a table or something in front of you, you can also use that. Think about bringing the toes in, the heels out. And you can have the blocks as far as you need. Just leaning here forward. So this is a little bit like down dog, but you should find a nice stretch both in the back of the calves and a little bit around the hips. Do you feel anything? Okay, maybe if you don't feel anything, try bringing the heels a little bit more out and toes a little bit more. It's hard to hold it for very long, so let's come out of it slowly and we can come up again. Maybe you don't have some very stiff hips. So, but at least I recommend trying this if you have stiff hips and trying this internal rotations. And we've done now a couple of poses with the This one, and it can also be a little bit more. Yeah, you have to be very stable, careful to be stable, but kind of in this down dog position with the heels out, toes in, maybe increasing the length of the step if you need to. And you should kind of feel it here around the hips. And we also did it on the foreleg, same pose here, kind of knees in, heels out, just moving around. And the first one we did was in the complete seated position, maybe with a block. Same thing here, this internal rotation. Okay, so just a few suggestions if you feel stiffness around the hips. Okay. Let's come to our foreleg again. And let's take our side lunges here. Open up the middle part of the hips. So just step into the side. Moving in circles, back and forth. And returning the leg, taking the other side. Okay, beautiful. And we're gonna prepare for our Savasana. So with our posture on top of the blocks. Also, if this pose doesn't work for someone, or if you don't have everything you need at home, you can also lie on one side, keeping the back leg straight or the lower leg straight, and the upper leg on top of some bolster or something where you can keep the hips squared. Making sure both the ankle and the knee is on top of the bolster. So it's another option. We'll make our whole black roll. And I want to end actually with another breathing exercise. This is called Brahmani, or deep breathing. And this is an exercise. It's very interesting because I've been taking care of my 1.5-year-old niece, and it's so beautiful because she does this breathing exercise automatically to calm her down. So it's definitely it's something that babies do automatically, and it's very simple. But maybe sometimes it gets takes time to get or you think it might take time to get the right sound, but it doesn't really matter exactly what it sounds like. But it's just about creating a little vibration in the body. And we're imitating the sound of a bee. So I'm gonna see if I can do it here. And I hope it hears through the laptop. So it's just the sound of a bee, and what it does, it creates this vibration that kind of also calms us down. And because we're making automatically a constriction here as well, so it makes the exhales longer. And yeah, let's just be prepared to come straight into our Savasana from here. And if you feel good, you can come into like a slow rocking here as well as we, when we do it. So we're just inhaling normally, and then on our exhales, we're making this be like so. So let's do that for a few times. And maybe you can then try it on your own, like for example, before going to sleep. Because that's what when babies do it. They do it to calm themselves down before taking a nap or sleep. Okay, so let's just start. Okay, you can continue if you want for a few more. And when you're ready, just coming into your Savasana. Your feet together. Wrapping the towel or blanket under the legs. Relaxing your arms down. And now just let it go of the control of the breath. Maybe exhaling a few times through the mouth. We're gonna allow ourselves a couple of minutes here in relaxation. Even continue with the deep breaths in silence. Just kind of imagine that you're doing the sound without making the sound. And what it does is that, as I said, it kind of creates this little contraction in the back of the throat and helps us lengthen the exhales. And from here, let's slowly come back. Taking a few deep breaths in through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And we start moving fingers, the toes. It feels good, rolling the head to one side and the other. Start stretching out. You're ready to bring your knees together, maybe using the support of your palms to close the knees, close the legs. Maybe drop them to one side and the other. A little bit about the hips before sitting up. And then do rinse backwards. Feels good. And then we're ready to come up to our seated position again. Roll it to our right side. It's good to use the support of the arms as you come up, using our abdominal muscles to protecting them as we can. Moving our way up to seated position, maybe keeping the eyes closed a little bit longer if it feels good. Let's place one palm onto the baby, onto our bellies, the other one on the heart and the chest. A couple of breaths here again. Just noticing, feeling in our bodies. Noticing our breath. Our minds. Thank you for coming today. Namaste. And you know, I'm always here if there are any questions or comments concerning anything we're doing or anything else.